fellow Americans. My name is Gary Cosin, and I am having a series on the Constitution called Show Me the Evidence. I'd like to start with asking you a question. How many of you could defend the United States Constitution if you had to defend it tomorrow without using the arm of flesh to help you? So we are run by a country that's run on today by the arm of flesh. And the courts and everybody else is involved with that. And so today I'd like to discuss, I'm at the Becker County Fair, working at the Republican booth, and I'd like to talk to all of you about a subject called the First Amendment. Now everybody thinks they know what the First Amendment says, but I don't believe you do. And the question that I want to ask you today about that has to do with the First Amendment is, where does it say Congress shall write, W-R-I-T-E, no law?
So is that you?
Yep. And
this kind of distracts that I couldn't make out the face right away.
Because everybody's under the impression that the Constitution says Congress shall write no law. It does not say that. It says something else. And Republicans and Democrats are just as guilty as the next person in violating that section. Because the Democrats made their laws, the Republicans wait until it is written. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to discuss a little bit of the laws that were made and not written under the First Amendment. Back in 1996, the government, not Congress, but the executive branch, as I understand it, gave us the politically correct law. Now, that took away Congress's and my and your right to freedom of speech and press. It also took away the court's right to freedom of speech and press. Because nobody is privileged, they all fall under this category. Then in 2009, October 2009, Nancy Pelosi made her law. And she said you cannot know what's in the bill until after it's passed, because that's the true intent of the Founding Fathers. That took away your right to peaceably assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. So ladies and gentlemen, by her invoking the true intent of the Founding Fathers in October 2009, she threw out all the amendments to the 13th to the 27th Amendments, because those were all done after the Founding Fathers were around. Which means that she threw away African Americans' right not only to vote, but to be counted as a whole person on the U.S. Census. Now, I don't know what's more racist, but that to me is the most racist thing a person could do. Then she threw away her own right to vote under the 19th Amendment, which gives women the right to vote. Well, because it comes after the true intent of the Founding Fathers, because it comes after the Founding Fathers, that amendment was no longer allowed either, because it was thrown away by Nancy Pelosi and all those Democrats standing behind her with the women at the back of the bus. I don't know if you've seen that video, but that's what you see. Then we have the Affordable Care Act of 2010. That threw away your right to freedom of religion. And by doing so, she threw away all the amendments to the Constitution, the remaining 12. Which means that with the Affordable Care Act, that everybody thought that they had only lost their doctor and their insurance bill, insurance rate, insurance company, medical insurance, they also threw away, they also lost all their remaining rights under the 12 amendments. Now when you think about that, that's a lot. And when the Republicans write me, asking me for money to help them stop Nancy Pelosi from taking away their constitutional right to bear arms, she already did that. The Congress already did that in 2010. But because the Republicans don't know what the Constitution says in Congress, and these are attorneys as well, and I told Ted Cruz many times about this, and I told the Republican Party a lot about this, but everybody just continues to ignore me, so that's fine. The courts have ignored me in trying to enforce the United States Constitution, and I'm tired of it, ladies and gentlemen. I am tired of it. And I'd like to tell you a little story. I was in 10th grade, and the school district in Wadena, Minnesota had a policy that if the students, country kids, didn't have to come to school, neither did the town kids. Well, in my 10th grade year, my sophomore year in high school, the school district changed it back to what it was originally. Well, I think it was the seniors, the class of 72 that year, who came around and told everybody not to go to the third-hour class. They were to go to the cafeteria instead. And so, we all did that. Being ignorant as we were, we all did that. Well then, what was going on was we were having a sit-in in the school cafeteria against the school board or against the school administration. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll never forget that day, because I learned how to rebel against authority peacefully. And those were in my class, and the class of 73 and the class of 74. We all remember that day. We may not remember as if it were yesterday, but we remember that day. So when I sit here and I talk about these things, I'm being rebellious against authority. And I'm telling the Republicans they better get off their butts and start doing their jobs and representing we the people. That's what they're supposed to be doing. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You go out there and you tell people what the heck the Democrats have done for the last decade, you will win any election, I guarantee it. Because there's not enough Democrats in this country to stop you. And if you tell the truth, that's all that you need. You do not need my money. If I'm too mentally retarded for you to listen to, then I'm too damn mentally retarded to waste my money on politicians. Now start doing your job and defending the Constitution and what it says. And later, and I think it will be the fourth video I do, will be on the courts because of their violations of law. Next time I will be talking about the Article 1, Section 2, the election clause. You might be surprised. The Constitution does not say plurality of votes cast. And that's what I'll be talking about next week, because I can tell you Nancy Pelosi was never elected in accordance with the Constitution. She isn't even allowed to vote, much less hold an office in the House of Representatives or the Speaker of the House.
Who is it? come on too late. I said, who isn't able to
So some of the things, just so that you understand what I'm talking about when I say the arm of flesh, and if you were willing, if you could defend the Constitution without it. That's case law. That's hearsay. That's rumors. That's what the arm of flesh is. There's no basis of fact for any of it. And when the Supreme Court violates the Constitution, they have no basis. They have no power any longer. And I'll discuss that later when I get to Article 3, Section 1. Now next week I'll be talking about Article 1, Section 2. The week after that, just so that you can have an idea where we're going, we'll be on Article 1, Section 6. Then the fourth week will be on Article 3, Section 1. And I'll be referring back and forth to these sections periodically through my videos. But I can assure you that you will not hear this anywhere. The Republicans refuse to talk about it. The Democrats refuse to talk about it. In fact, 1 year ago, or 2 years ago, I gave the Democrat Party here in Detroit Lakes some information. And I walked over to the Republican booth, and one of the people in the booth turned and looked at the Democrats, and they said that there was steam blowing out their ears because they were so livid with what I said. But ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is tell the truth to win an election. You don't need money to sit there and win. Republicans have won for years and decades and centuries. They have won with no money. They've won by telling the truth. Because if they don't, people are saying they're all the same. I hope the Republicans can prove me wrong that they're all the same with the Democrats. You better learn what the Constitution actually says, then fight for it and tell the truth about it, instead of perpetuating your hate crimes, your lies, and your unwritten Constitution. Your made Constitution called the Democracy Constitution. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my time's running out. So I'd like to invite, if any of you see this tomorrow or today, the rest of the day, we're here until 11 o'clock tonight, possibly earlier. We'll be here at least until 9 tonight. I'll be here until 5. So if any of you, well, you won't see it before 5. So, but I will be here tomorrow again. So I'd encourage you to come to the Becker County Fair on Rossman Avenue, across from the Rossman Elementary School, and see me if you want to talk about this. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. And I'll show you in the Constitution where it says exactly what I said it says. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, I say adieu. Thank you.